Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is Waters Above. Happy September, family. I hope you're all doing incredible and are ready for one of the most important months of the year. I've been talking about it for so long now, and we're finally here, just weeks away from the end of the Jubilee. And as of yesterday, we have moved on from the blue moon. I know the energy has been wild lately. I've been hearing so many people talking about how they can feel something big is about to happen, and I couldn't agree more. So in today's video, I'll be talking about the importance of this month of September from an esoteric perspective and sharing a decode with you that ties in all the key dates together from what's happening in the economy as a whole with the 15th annual BRICS summit that just happened in South Africa to the recent Donald Trump arrest ritual that happened last week and what I'm expecting for the market in the first half of this month and all of my thoughts about the upcoming Black Swan event that will catch the masses off guard, and after watching today's video, you'll be more than prepared for what's to come. And also, just a reminder, the new month has started over on Patreon. If you've been waiting to join, I appreciate your support. You could sign up today by visiting patreon.com/watersabove to join the Mastermind community membership and get instant access to my weekly Red Pill podcasts. That's my technical analysis podcast to wrap up the week and for me to review the altcoins that our community votes on. And by becoming a Patreon supporter, you'll also get access to our Discord server from our community group chat, so you could come hang out with the Wolf Pack. You'll have access to my entire Livestream archive with 100 live streams, and you'll also unlock the biggest discounts available on my courses. The Patreon link can be found in the description box of this video and in the pinned comment below. So if you're new here, we do cryptocurrency technical analysis and combine it with Gematria, Numerology, and Astrology to understand these markets. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to stay updated on when new videos come out. And make sure to give this video a like and share this channel with other conscious beings to help grow our community. And with that being said, let's take the clear pill. All right, so yesterday being the 31st, a lot of energy tied to it with the blue moon, which was a super full moon. And here's where today's decode begins. We're going to be connecting August 31st to the last day of Jubilee, which will be on the 17th of September. Of course, naturally 17 days apart, and that number 17 is the 7th prime number, and this number 7 is tied to Rosh Hashanah, being the Hebrew New Year, which transitions into the 7th month of the Hebrew calendar, which is the month of Tishri. And with this being the last day of Jubilee, this means it will officially be over in the Gregorian calendar on September 18th, and that is 7 days away from Yom Kippur, which is on the 25th of September. You could see that connected right here. And why this is significant is this date having the 70 date numerology being reduced down to 7 again, and then the date we're connecting this to, Yom Kippur, having 77 double-digit date numerology. And this is very important because the number 77 is esoterically tied to Jubilee. Since biblical Jubilee is 7 cycles of 7 Shemitah years, that Shemitah is a 7-year cycle practiced in Judaism, coming back to agriculture, but it definitely affects financial markets. This naturally adds up to 49, 7 times 7, and then the Jubilee is practiced on the 50th year, which we're in right now, until September 18th. And the month of September is also the 7th month in the true calendrical system, since the prefix septem means 7 in Latin. It should not be your 9th month. That is because the Gregorian calendar is a scam. On another note, regarding yesterday, August 31st, we're just going to jump back to that really quickly. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how this date was actually tied to Joe Biden, with his 81st birthday being on November 20th of 2023. And this date that we're connecting it to is 81 days before his 81st birthday. So far, we have not had a direct ritual of Biden, but it's obvious they're in the process of ritualizing his adversary, Donnie Trump, which you're all well aware of his recent arrest in Georgia. And I actually dedicated my last Red Pill podcast over on Patreon to decoding his arrest and how it's tied into the potential Black Swan event that could be happening this month of September. And that last Red Pill podcast I released is one of my best decodes to date. I've received amazing feedback on it, and I greatly appreciate everyone's support. Again, by becoming a Patreon supporter, you will get access to this podcast and all past and future podcasts, which I have a new one coming out in just a couple days. Really appreciate your support. So coming back to Biden, I decided to connect his birthday to this code we've been having showing up over and over again during the Jubilee year, and that's the number 96 and the mirror of that number, 69. And if you take 69 days before Joe Biden's next birthday, that will bring you to September 12th. All right, we're going to break this down again, and if you're new here to the channel, this is important for you to take note of. If you've been following around this work for some length of time, you're well aware of this code, but remember that the Queen of England died at 96 years old during her Platinum Jubilee last year, and on the 69th day of this year was when Silicon Valley Bank failed. That was on March 10th. And back in 2021 was the year Bitcoin hit an all-time high of 69,000 during the year of the Shemitah, which is from September 2021 through September 2022, and we won't have another one for another 7 years. Now, we're in Jubilee ending on September 2023, and I just want you guys to remember that everything happens in threes. So let's quickly discuss this for a moment, all right? Now, in 1999, the tech stocks pumped then into March and April of 2000, 6 months before the Shemitah, the dot-com bubble topped, and then it started to pop. So again, 1999, we pumped all through that time frame, then topped out March, April 2000, then the dot-com bubble popped. Well, in 2020, after the C19 crash, the market had a V-shaped recovery, pumped throughout the rest of the year of 2020 into March, April of 2021, where most of the crypto market topped out, with a couple exceptions, of course. But for a majority of the altcoin market, it topped out in April 2021. That was essentially the end of what we called alt season. Again, that was about half a year before the Shemitah started. Then we had an overall market correction from January 2020 until the end of the Shemitah at the end of September 2022. You could go back in the charts. You could see this very clearly, especially if you look at any indices. It's the Dow Jones, Russell, S&P, NASDAQ. So we have 1999, 2000, the start of the Shemitah, and 2001. It ends with the 9/11 ritual, September 11th. Now we have 2020. It starts with the C19 ritual. Think about how it's mirrored. Then you have 2021, start of Shemitah, and then your third year, 2022. And we're currently in 2023. So considering this comparison, that would bring us back to 2002. And remember, when we decode, that 2002 becomes 22 in the rules of numerology, removing the zeros before reduction, and you wouldn't practice reduction on a master number such as 22. Now we're about to have the 22nd anniversary of 9/11. Think about that. So getting back to Trump and how he's being ritualized right now, connecting the date of Trump's arrest, which was on August 24th. I'm going to quickly get over to that. If we connect that to September 12th, which is a big date that I think we all need to pay attention to, the day after the 22nd anniversary of 9/11, you can see that these dates are 19 days apart. And this date of September 12th lands on a 19 standard date numerology. And we all know the power of that number 19 after several years of a lockdown, which emphasized that number. Well, if we connect when this 3-letter organization, I'm not going to say their name, but I'll just type it out as such. Well, when they declared the date of that pandemic, and I'll get to that in a moment, but I can't say this anymore, and I'm going to show you guys why, and it's because of this. I did receive one of these. I'm not going to say it, but it's sad. Anyways, we have a solution, and it's very, very simple. If you want to stay updated on anything that happens, in case anything happens, just take a moment to pause this video and go over to my website, www.watersabove.com, and join my email list. It's free, and I never spam my email list. You can sign up by simply adding your email address and creating your own password. You do not need to put in your name or any other personal information, and I do not have any sponsors or advertisers on my website or my YouTube channel. So you can join the email list by clicking this login tab up here at the top of my website, or you can scroll down to the bottom where it says subscribe, enter your email address in this box below. This prepares our community to take action in the future if needed due to these sorts of circumstances. And I'll be updating everyone through my email list regarding a new project that I'll be launching in 2024 that will be hosted on my website. And I appreciate this community for focusing on collaboration and expansion, especially during these times when it's needed most. So, as I was saying earlier about this and when the C19 happened, that was on March 11th. I'm just going to quickly go to that date for everyone of 2021. Sorry, 2020. And I just wanted to show how this connects to the 9/11 date. I do believe I've talked about this before, but I just wanted to review it one more time. This is connected by 3 years and 6 months exactly. That's the 36. And this is where I'm just going to help a little more with decoding and to help you guys get a little bit more advanced in your decoding. When you see these sorts of connections like 3/6, this breaks down to 3 6s, which is 666. And I shared this in a recent video as well. And that 666 code breaks down even further to 6 plus 6 plus 6, which equals 18. And 9/11 this year, as you can see, lands on an 18 standard date numerology. When you reduce down that 18, it's 1 plus 8, equals 9. And you can see right here the day that C19, yada, 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 it started on a 9 standard date numerology. This isn't by accident because this number is the number of spatial infinity. Look into the 369 code. So we have our 36, now we have our 9, now we have our 9. This is important. September 11th, on the 111 days left in the year, the event happened in good old New York with the 111. Think about this, all right? So this is very, very important stuff. And this, of course, September 11th being the 22nd anniversary of that ritual. This number 18 is one of the most important numbers in Judaism. Definitely go study that if you haven't heard me talk about it in the past. And the fact that this date lands on that specific number code and on a Monday, the day of the moon in the Hebrew calendar, it's based in not only the sun, but also the moon. That is why Rosh Hashanah changes every year, because it follows the new moon, moving in from Elul to Tishri. Okay, so I just wanted to bring this up because if you go take this 36 and then you think about where we'll be at during the 36th week of the year, which is next week. We're moving into that in just about 3 days. You can see that's from September 4th through September 10th. September 10th being the day before 9/11. And then 2 days after this September 12th date that we were talking about a moment ago, of course, being the following day. And that being just a couple days before the end of Jubilee. So you have 2 days forward being the day before Rosh Hashanah, and then 2 days backwards being this 11-10 connection. So I think we need to look at time as a ripple effect going forwards and backwards. And I know we're really zooming in now to like a tight date range. And some people might be like, well, this is a little confusing. But if you really zoom out and see what I've just done here, I connected one of the most important dates of our lifetime, March 11, 2020, to this particular date with this 36 code. Then I dialed it in even deeper to the 36th week of this year. And we could keep adding on this because one of the most important cryptos in this whole space is Ethereum, and Ethereum giving you that 36 in Chaldean. Of course, what runs this market is Bitcoin gives you 36. We could keep going. That 36 is extremely powerful, especially if you're focused on cryptocurrency. And you'll find many of these connections just by typing in more coins. So consider these connections and how it's tied back to Biden, since he seems like he's on his last breath of whatever life his clone has left. What's going on with Trump being ritualized right now obviously seems like a distraction away from what's going to happen to Biden. And another thing that I just remembered that is absolutely mind-blowing, and I need to share it with you here in today's video. Speaking of the 22nd anniversary of 9/11, well, if you take from the day Bitcoin hit its all-time high, and that would be the 10th of November in 2021. Now remember, this date it hit 69,000, so the power of that code is in there. Well, that happened again November 10th, 2021, and if we connect it to that date of September 12th that we were just talking about moments ago, it equals 22 months and 2 days, the day after the 22nd anniversary of 9/11, the 22 code. This is the master builder, master destroyer number. And we have Bitcoin's all-time high compared to this particular date. I think this is a pretty powerful thing to consider if we're focused on crypto, which we are. And now that 222 code, we could take it just a step further. And now we have the day later naturally being 22 months and 3 days. That's the 223. We're in the year of the 223, and that is the mirror of the skull and bones number, the order 322. Look at how 22 months and 3 days is exactly 96 weeks. So that is 96 weeks since Bitcoin hit 69,000. And remember, Bitcoin was created by the mythological being Satoshi, who is Saturn, giving you 6'9". Bitcoin's all-time high was 6'9". And we know Saturn is coded into Bitcoin. There are 21 million Bitcoin in supply. Saturn equals 21. September is the month of Saturn. September 12th and 13th land in the 37th week of this year. We'll practice what we did earlier. 37 is 3 sevens. That's 777. That's the jackpot number. 7 plus 7 plus 7 equals 21. And the last day of Rosh Hashanah literally is the last day of the 37th week of the year when we're ending Jubilee. All right. So very, very powerful stuff here with this code all tied in. It's all about Saturn and the Saturnian essence tied to the harvest. He is the god of harvest and father time. Are we about to restart the clock here? I believe so. That's what the end of Jubilee is significant of. Absolutely wild connection I just exposed. And September 11th this year is also tied to our upcoming solar eclipse. So let me just quickly go to this 9/11 date of 2023. And we're going to go to 10/14 of 2023. That's the solar eclipse we're about to have, which lands on a Saturn day. Again, 33 days apart. The master number of transmutation, 33 degrees. The frozen pineal gland goes from ice to water. It goes through war because it's warm. That's Aries, the god of war. When we move from Pisces into Aries. And sidereal is when we have the actual spring equinox. It's not March 19th. That's a lie. We have to observe the sky to know thyself, as above, so below. So I'm going to teach all of this in depth in my next course I'm working on as we speak, called the Decoding Mastermind. Let me know in the comments below if you're looking forward to that. So the 37th week of this year is incredibly powerful. That's the date of September 11th through September 17th. I want you to mark that on your calendar. And to go one step further, this is when I anticipate a Black Swan event. It's between the 37th week of the year into the 39th week of the year, considering Yom Kippur after the end of Jubilee, the Day of Atonement, which is on Monday, September 25th, also on a moon day. This is when we're moving into Virgo in sidereal astrology. Virgo being ruled by Mercury. Let me just show you this really quickly if you'd like to see a little deeper into what's happening here. Just for the tropical astrologers out there that might get a little confused, you can see what I'm talking about in sidereal, which is practicing astronomy, the actual observance of the sky. You can see that we're moving into Virgo right there on September 17th. And consider what I was saying earlier, all right? Virgo, ruled by Mercury, Hermes, the prince of the power of the air. This is why he is the god of finance. I call him the god of fiat money, money created out of thin air. With everything going on between the last BRICS summit in South Africa and the next FOMC meeting, and the stock market at these levels we're seeing today, headed into election year, it's obvious they're setting up for a ritual, a classic black swan event, and the masses don't see it coming, but you do. And you've been prepared for this for a while now. I've been talking about it in everything I do on this channel for over a year now, that September and October of 2023 is the time to expect something big to happen. And the Wolfpack is more than prepared for this on all levels. That's what makes our community so powerful, especially during these times. And I could see it every time I check in on our Discord server in the Mastermind community. What we're doing over there, it's just incredible how we're working together. Incredibly rare, especially now while most people are so divided. We're talking about the masses right now. And it proves the tactic of divide and conquer works. We see it in our own daily lives, but it's not working on us. So for a more exoteric date, we have the FOMC meeting on September 20th, right around this time. I believe I brought that up just a moment ago. That will be the next time Federal Reserve Chair Powell speaks. So the last thing to consider about this upcoming black swan, specifically to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, is taking from Satoshi's last alleged birthday, which was on April 5th of 2023. And we're going to be connecting that to September 13th. And just to point out something right here, which is going a little deep, it might not be the most significant thing, but I want to consider it because it is 23 weeks apart. And we're talking about Satoshi, who is the creator of Bitcoin, with that 23 right there in Chaldean. And we're in the year of the Jubilee. Right there, we have that 23. Of course, we'll just be a couple days away from the end of the Hebrew year. That is 5,783, adds up also to 23. And both of these dates that we're connecting land on a Wednesday. All right, that is miércoles, the day of Mercury. And Mercury also gives you the 23. We were just talking about how we're moving into Virgo shortly after this in sidereal astrology, again ruled by Mercury. We're currently in Mercury retrograde right now, and I believe Mercury will be stationed retrograde pretty much at the start of Rosh Hashanah, right there on the new moon. That's powerful stuff. So we want to consider this specifically for crypto, and that also has a connection right here of 5 months and 8 days. That's 58, and that's tied to XRP. XRP giving you that 58 in the code. And XRP also has that 23, which we just talked about a moment ago. During this date, we'll actually have 15 weeks left in the year on this particular week. Now, that 15 code also ties back to XRP. So if you're new here, first off, welcome. But we've been using this 58 code often to determine big price fluctuations in XRP. That's how I was able to determine a breakout for XRP in July to 80 to 90 cent range, well before it happened, with a high level of precision, not only to the date, but the price as well. And that's all documented here on this channel and discussed in several interviews and podcasts I've done. Also, shout out to the Bearable Bull and his community that's been checking out what I'm doing over here since our recent podcast. And we'll have many more collaborations in the future. He's aware of the accuracy here in regards to the XRP analysis and decodes, and he's been sharing my art with the world and allowing me to speak my truth, which I greatly respect over on his channel. And when I say these things, it's not to flex or anything. Honestly, I just want to share this decoding system with the world so that we can all have an edge on this market. That's what I'm all about here. Focusing on collaboration, no division, only expansion, and with more like-minded leaders in the space coming together, this allows us to all grow together and help each other out in the process with what we're specializing in on an individual level. And I could speak for my community, having some of the most incredible minds in the space, everything from technical analysts to traders, decoders, astrologers, members who specialize in real estate, health and wellness coaches, you name it. And I bring all this up because I feel like now is the time to really focus on community. It's really important because to prepare for what's to come this month into October, while most people are just divided. So I think right now is a great time to pivot over to the charts and go over what we're seeing in the market, just to kind of wrap everything up. We've had a lot of volatility in the past couple of weeks, but before we do that, gonna make sure to go over and give this video a like if you haven't already. Spread some love in the comments section. That's what we're all about here. Now, we are getting a correction in Bitcoin since the last couple of daily closes. We saw a bounce right into the blue moon, which I was talking about in my Twitter account over here. I was bringing this up because of a tweet I shared back in August 22nd, about a week before the blue moon. And I shared bounce into blue moon as an idea, and I wasn't just talking about crypto, I was actually talking about everything, particularly the stock market, which had a noticeable correction. And you can see right here from pretty much that date of release of that tweet all the way up to the blue moon, we topped out right there for the stock market on the blue moon. Absolutely powerful watching that come to fruition. Now we're getting rejected, and this isn't a good place to get rejected. Because if anyone tuned into my last Red Pill podcast, you remember me talking about this firmament dome and how it'd be more likely for us to get a lower high, essentially, and not move up much more because of the power of this specific blue moon and the fact that we're moving into one of the most crucial time frames, which is the end of the jubilee. So now that we are going back and analyzing this a little bit more, I wrote float into the 36th, and then we have the end of Jubilee, which is right there at that time frame. We spoke about that earlier in the decode. There is an opportunity for us to hold these levels, and the fact that we saw the stock market move up so dramatically, this could help out crypto if the stock market just holds where it's at right now. If it starts to correct much more than this, heading back into, like, let's just say 34,000 points on the Dow, or if the NASDAQ starts to break below the 786 on this macro fib pull below 15,000 points, that could get a little dicey for crypto. So if it could just hold these levels right now, that would be ideal. But we had our monthly close come in. Let's just quickly pop over to that. I have a lot of noise on this chart, so let me hide everything and just have clean candles to show. And we did close on a low, and this is typical actually for Bitcoin. I went over this many times in past podcasts, how we tend to not have the greatest August, especially September and August combined. It's typically red months. So it seems as if we've actually topped out for the moment, and it could have a miraculous, last minute pump into the Jubilee, end of Jubilee timeframe. I would not be shocked by that. But as of right now, we are keeling over slightly. I think it's important to just be patient, because what we see in a pre-election year moving into the election year is the month of November and December and January are powerful buyback zones for any deep corrections that happen in the fall time. So I shared this thesis that we could actually be back at 30 to 31K Bitcoin by the start of 2024. Whatever downside we're getting right now is just giving us a buying opportunity. And for the most part, a lot of these alts are still in buying opportunity zone. So now with that being said, let's just slow ourselves down, look at what we're seeing. Very clear, we're just back testing this prior resistance, which was posted back here in August 22, and then here in February 2023. Then we had the Silicon Valley Bank collapse, quick V-shaped recovery out of it. Since we've back tested that prior resistance, confirming a support, we went up another higher high. That definitely solidifies this support. And then since we've retested back to it, technically holding structure. And until we start to close dailies below 25K, this is still holding a higher low structure. So it's nothing to get shocked by the fact that we're holding this level. Perhaps since we had 2 rejections at this level, we needed 2 retests. And according to this firmament dome structure, Again, welcome to my experimental technical analysis that I sometimes like to share with the idea that we're in Mercury retrograde and we have been getting perfectly rejected along this curve since the start of 2022. This shows us that by the 10th, 11th, 12th of September, that would be about 28,100, which we've essentially tested already. The only thing that I could see that actually looks a little similar to today's structure that we're getting is this moment right here. This weird dip down, and then we had Twin Towers candles, which I call what we just saw past couple days, and then holding support and then popping up. And if we look pivoting backwards, we have about 36 days. If we go forwards, we have about 36 days to continuation. So if we mirrored everything and we were to go back 12 days and then go forward 12 days, this is just having fun right now, guys, but consider there's a method to this madness because Bitcoin moves on bots. It's very algorithmic. So we see that 12 days moving forward brings us into the next weekly close. Not this one coming up, but the next one. And that could definitely be a new moon pump before a black swan. The way this market maker likes to do things is to get you euphoric before they pull the plug, right? So they want probably a little greed to get injected into crypto before they do another event. And then that wouldn't be surprising if we had an ultra bullish kind of reverse black swan in November. Something that is positive. I think this Bitcoin ETF stuff is really kind of the most exoteric thing to discuss, but it does hold a lot of merit as a potential, positive for the market. Going back in the past and looking at what happened when gold ETF passed, I mean, it's clear in the charts what it led to. So we're not going to go too deep into that in today's video because we're getting kind of a longer video today. But I wanted to mention that this retest is just a technical level. We're holding these supports and really no alarms to be sounded until we're closing below structure, which would be below 25,000. Let me quickly bring up a couple of moving averages and see if I can... Yep, so we're closing below the 200s. That's not good because we closed below the 200 exponential and simple back here on August 17th and then got rejected below them over the past couple days into the monthly close. That's not a good sign. Especially when we have this yellow moving average, the 8 simple below the 55 simple moving average. You would want to see that crossed in the other direction like we did back here, and then things look pretty bullish until that cross happens again, dump. Cross happens the other way, pump. Rinse and repeat. That's why I call this cross the wolf cross. And it's something that I teach alongside many other things in my crypto mastermind course available on my website. So what I'm seeing right now is just holding these levels. I don't really feel super confident about a new move up in a higher high just now. When we get to the end of this year into January, I'm open-minded to that. But as of now, it would take an isolated event such as a Bitcoin ETF to push us up anymore. And I know that what happened a couple days ago with Grayscale that gave people this feeling of let's FOMO in, but that's sad. I mean, we're right back to where we are now. That's why I didn't come out with any emergency videos or anything about this pump that we saw recently, because that's not who I am. I'm just not dramatic like that, and I'm not going to work with the news. I believe the news is northeast, west, south, which is the broken compass, and that's why everyone's distracted, misguided, and they can't figure out how to actually have an edge on this market because they're not decoders. And that's what's helping us here, because we're well prepared far in advance for anything that happens. And it's because of this decoding system that I shared with you in the beginning of today's video. So what I can say right now is if we were to get any closes below 25K, there's an opportunity to flush down to 22 to 20K. And that would be a very solid zone. If we're to move up, we need to look at this level right here, somewhere around 30K as a psychological level. And we seem to have a lot of, sell walls around that 30 to 31. So in order to really solidify a move up, we need volume, and we just don't have it now. The volume is very low, and that's kind of why I'm more waiting to the end of this year. December, I think, the end of Q4, they're going to want to make it a little bit more positive, especially if they push us down between the second half of September into the first half of October, which is my key time frame. So with that being said, let's just quickly pop over to XRP because I do feel like we're getting some important rejections at a key level that I've talked about in the past. And it's this daily close we got yesterday. If we're getting any resistance below this trend line, this is probably going to bring us into 48 cents and then into the buy zone that I shared probably last month, about 40 to 42 cents. I spoke about that on the last Bearable Bull podcast. I would love a kickback into this range. It'd be an amazing buying opportunity. And it will definitely feel good for all the people that took the 80 to 90 cent de-risking levels. I know that there was a moment where a lot of people were believing that we were going to move up into this crazy parabolic bull run. Like, I never entertained that. I thought we would stay below prior all-time highs, regardless if the SEC came out and did anything. And I've been hearing some rumor about something going down on the 29th, like some sort of Ripple party. I don't believe that's going to create anything else either. We really need to not get so lost in this stuff right now, family. Like, you got to stick to the charts, you got to stick to the decoding, and just focus on your purpose. There's a lot of distractions right now, and a lot of this stuff is keeping people from taking action. So the 80 to 90 cent de-risk, buying in below 45 cents, I mean, killer play. And ultimately, you're just stacking so many more XRP tokens by playing it this way, instead of getting caught up in the theories of what could happen based off of the SEC case, which has nothing to do with reality because it's an inside job. You are all probably, used to hearing me talk this way, but if you're newer to the channel and you haven't heard this sort of energy before, just know that we're not maxis on anything. We're not Bitcoin maxis. We're not in the XRP army. We are here as decoders, and we're here to take advantage of the market, whatever it gives us. And Bitcoin and XRP are my top positions, but I by no means am in a cult here. We're here to expose the cult and the cult of personality and mindset that's absolutely destroying people from taking action on investments. So I just wanted to say those words of wisdom right now because they're needed in a time where this particular XRP community is falling for it time and time again. And I believe there's many brilliant and incredible people in that community, and they just have to get out of the denial phase and see it for what it is with clarity. I know that hurts and the truth sucks, but the truth sets you free. So I'm looking to this 236 macro fib on this fib pull from the April 2021 highs all the way down to the swing low, which we got back in June 2022. And I think we swiped through that already, but filling out that wick that came in on this flash crash could probably be likely. And that's all around a very technical level of the 236, which I teach and anyone could vouch for. After your automatic rally, which we had, we tend to return back to the 236. There's nothing weird here. We technically did already swipe through the level. I would just like to see a little more trading down there, building up some support, and then when volume kicks in, which I hope any volume that kicks in is sustainable. It's not just a single day, which is what most of XRP's pumps are like. If retail actually steps in and big players actually step in, that's when we would move into the next phase, which is called a SOS, a sign of strength. That's when we really start getting excited, moving up below above $1.40, and we'll get to that probably by Q1, Q2 next year. So I'm going to leave it at that, family. For now, we have the downside levels. If Bitcoin reaches those downside levels I talked about before, just anticipate ETH will be at whatever levels on the same day. And with XRP, it's not going to be as dramatic, I don't think. It will most likely respect this blue trend line I have here that goes all the way back to the C19 crash and the crash after the SEC case. We returned back to it for a very long time recently in 2022 bear market, and that would most likely be the next place to see XRP trade again with any moves lower. I appreciate all of your guys' support. I'm wishing you all a beautiful rest of your weekend in the Matrix, and I'm looking forward to sharing the next Red Pill podcast with everyone, and I appreciate all your support, anyone who joins the Mastermind community over on Patreon. Much love.